Hi everyone, it's Stacy. Thank you for coming on this yoga leap with me. Welcome to anyone who's been practicing with me through the lens for the last few years. Welcome to anyone new. It's great to have you here. So you can see I have my chair here behind me. My fire is going as well, which I'm still loving. It might stay here forever, I don't know. Today I'm going to be we did a warrior flow a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to sort of recreate that, but I'm going to stay seated in the chair. So we're going to flow through some warrior poses. If you're standing and not using a chair, no problem. Or if you're just using a chair or a wall for balance, that's great too. But I'm going to try and stay seated and just stick with the chair. So if you never do this, if you never do your whole practice in the chair, I suggest giving it a try. It kind of is a new it might be feeling new, and that kind of helps keep our brains fresh and active and engaged. So yeah, I suggest giving it a try if you don't. If not, if you're standing on your mat, that's perfect, no problem. But I'm going to meet you back in the chair and we'll get started. Okay, so like I said, I'm just going to find my chair here. I'm going to stay in my chair for the bulk of this practice. If you are standing on the mat, that's great. All of these postures can be done standing or seated. Part of the reason I'm doing it is maybe you hear it, but I'm a little stuffy and a little off balance with a bit of a head cold. So I thought if I stayed in my chair, I wouldn't fall. Now that may or may not be true. I have a bit of a wobbly chair, so we'll see what happens. But let's get started with just settling in, sitting nice and tall on your sit bones, whether you're seated on the ground or the chair, making sure that I'm not off the edge of my mat there. And depending on what type of chair you have, you can rest your hands on the arms. If not, resting them down in the lap with palms turned down or turned up, whatever works best for you. Sometimes turning the palms down and kind of connecting with our body physically helps us feel grounded, helps bring the energy down a little bit. If that's what you're looking to do, go ahead and turn the palms down. If you're looking to maybe invite some energy in, turning the palms up might help sort of draw some energy into your practice. So that's totally up to you. You can have one down and one up if you're really unsure. There are no rules, no right or wrong, but we want to settle in here. And if you have a bit of a support, you can go ahead and settle in, but we don't want to like slump too much. We want to make sure we're still sort of active and aware of our body and our posture for our opening meditation. So let's settle in here. And if you feel the need, we can take a few breaths, roll the shoulders, just get ready to settle in. And then finally, if you are comfortable, closing the eyes here is a nice option. If not, just turning the gaze down towards the floor, finding something nice and still to rest the gaze on. And just start to notice our breath. Notice if we're struggling to take a nice deep inhale or if it's flowing freely. Notice where we're feeling the breath. Is it in our bellies, in our chest, or maybe just in and out through our nose? There's no right or wrong answer. We just want to notice where are we feeling that breath. We can turn our attention to our physical bodies. If our hands are turned down, we can really feel the connection to our lap, our thighs. Maybe if our hands are resting on our chair, we can notice the feeling of the material of the chair, just noticing our sit bones grounding down into the mat or the chair as well. And then take a notice of our shoulders. Have they started to creep up? Let's see if we can roll them back down again. And then let's start to take a deeper inhale. We're trying to inhale and fill our bellies and in all directions. So sort of outwards, to the side, to the back. Think of a balloon as we inhale, filling our bellies and continuing to inhale, fill our ribs and our chest. Take a nice big inhale here. And then exhale, we're going to press it all out. You'll feel everything kind of draw back in towards the center. And once again, inhale to fill belly, ribs, and chest. And exhale, chest, ribs, and belly. So take a few more rounds at your own perfect pace. If during this time setting an intention is something you like to do, you can go ahead and do that as well. An intention is something that you can use to keep your attention focused along with breath work. So it can be something like, I am present, I am focused, I've got this, any little mantra or motto. And if you find that your attention starts to drift through the class, you can come back to this deep breath work and also the mantra, motto, or intention that you're setting for yourself now. Let's take 2 more rounds. And then if the eyes are closed, we can start to flutter the eyes open and just re-engage with our space. Taking a few more breaths here, reorienting ourselves, and then we'll start to bring a bit of movement to the breath work here. Let's release the hands, sweep the arms up as we inhale, and then exhale, just press all the air down. Now, if you have arms on the chair here and that's in the way, we can take a big inhale here and just draw the hands through heart center. So whatever works, we can create these big circles on the inhale, drawing hands through heart center, or inhaling and then exhaling, pressing the arms just down and back to our sides. So whatever works, you could do a bit of both, it doesn't matter. If one feels good. All right, let's add a side bend. So we're gonna inhale here, and we're gonna exhale, drop that left arm. Now, if you're on the floor, plant the hand. If you're on a chair, find something to root into the chair, the arm. I'm gonna hold onto the bottom of my chair as I continue to inhale and reach my right arm up, and then exhale over. So I'm trying to keep my weight even in both sit bones so that I don't tip off my chair, but also just to create this stretch and opening on the side body here. It's not really about crunching down into this left side body. We're looking to lift up and open up the right side body here. Think about even spinning that heart up towards the ceiling or the sky, so opening up even more, rooting down through that sit bone. Let's stay for another round here. And then on the inhale, let's come up through center. And then now we'll let that right hand plant down or connect to the chair as we continue to inhale with left arm, and then exhale, reach up and over. Spin the heart open. Stay for a few rounds of breath. Root down through that left sit bone. Really feel that nice opening. One more round of breath here, inhaling and exhaling. And then let's inhale all the way back up. Let's do a little bit of more fluid movement as we move with our breath. Inhale to reach up, and then exhale over as we switch sides. Let's go one more on each side. Rooting down, challenging the core a little bit, especially if you're like me in a little wobbly chair. I'm really feeling my core work. Let's reach up. Let's twist over to the left now. So the arms are going to spin open, and maybe that right arm comes across the body, connects to the outside of the left leg. Stay connected and rooted down through the sit bones here, and really twist through the waist. Depending on where you are, if you're on the floor, plant the hand down. If you're in a chair, finding some connection so that you can help create a little bit of gentle torque through the torso by using the connection. Press into the leg here, press the leg into the hand. Same with pressing into the floor or chair on this side, and then just creating a little more torque. Maybe we can even look over the back shoulder. Stay for a breath. Inhale and exhale here. And then inhale, let's untwist. We can sweep the arms up. And then we're going to go to that other side. So root down through those sit bones as our arms find the position in the opposite side. So left arm sweeps across the body, maybe connects to the outside of the leg. Hand finding some connection to the floor or chair, creating a little bit more torque, gentle, root down through the sit bones, look over the back shoulder, and stay for 2 rounds of breath. Full round, so we're inhaling and exhaling. One more round. On the inhale, let's release, come back through center. We'll sweep those arms up. And then we'll just do like we did before, a little bit of flowing movement, twisting through the core, sort of around the spine, rooting down through the feet and the sit bones. Good, let's inhale up through center. We'll draw the hands back down towards our lap. Let's roll the shoulders a couple of times. Maybe switching directions. All right, let's get a little bit of movement in the hips here. I'm going to step my feet a little bit wider and move a little bit to the edge of the mat, just so I can create some movement. We're going to try and do some hip circles. I have opened my legs a little bit wider just for a bit more stability. Depending on the chair you have, you can keep them wherever they feel comfortable. Again, I just have a bit of a wobbly chair. This is going to help me from falling off the chair, especially with this sort of head cold that's giving me some grief. So I'm going to bring my hands to my knees or lap for some support. I'm going to take a big inhale here, and then we're just going to circle through the hips. Nothing new. We do this quite a bit. Round through the shoulders, and then pull that heart space through on the inhale, and then exhale. It's a bit of a like a rotational seated cat-cow, pulling the heart space through. Inhale, exhale, round. So that's another reason I moved forward on my chair, to create a bit of room behind me to really splay those shoulder blades. Inhaling and exhaling, just creating a bit of movement in the hips here. And still finding that nice deep breath. Okay, let's do 2 more in this direction. And then on the inhale, come up through center, readjust anything if you feel you need to move back or forward on the chair. If you want to bring the legs in closer or open them up, we're going to do a few in the other direction. So let's take a big inhale, come forward, and then we'll start to circle in the other direction. Still splaying the shoulder blades. You can pull up, press into the knees here to help that happen. And then pull the heart space through, like grip onto the knees, pull it through. Press the shoulder blades apart, pull the heart space through, inhale. Good. We're just going in this direction for a few rounds. Notice if it feels any different coming in this direction. We'll do one more big full circle here. Exhale, and then we're going to inhale back through center, sitting up nice and tall. Now, if the feet aren't stepped wide, let's step the feet wide. We're going to do a little bit of stretching and side bending. So for here, our hand's going to come to our left hand, left knee, or maybe if we're feeling ready, we can come to left elbow, left knee. Good. And then we're just going to open up. Take a big inhale. We're twisting through the core again. We're trying to root down through the sit bones. Open up here. And then exhale, close. Now, if you're on the mat, you can do this on all fours, pressing the left hand into the mat, sweeping the right arm up and open and twisting through the core from all fours as well. Or you might be standing and just doing this, really working those leg muscles in a bit of a squat. And as always, if any of the long arms are too much, they can shorten. You can shorten the levers if it's a little too much on shoulders. We're thinking about sort of opening the heart space up here. So the arm can be bent or straight. Let's do one more. Good. All right, let's bring it down. And then we're going to come back up through center. Good. Let's take a centering breath here. Inhale. Exhale. And then we're going to come to the other side. So right hand finds right knee, or maybe right elbow, right knee. If you're feeling ready, you could even reach down a little further, but we're still kind of in our warm up, so that might feel a little much right now. Let's root down. So we don't want to slump in. We want to press in, use that core to stay nice and lifted, and then open up. Inhale here. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. We're going to see this movement a little bit through the course of the flow. It just makes the movements, the stretches, and the postures feel dynamic, maybe a little more exciting. And it's optional. If you are feeling like when we get into postures and you don't want to move and you just want to stay nice and open and still, that is always a choice. Let's do one more here. Let's bring it back through center. Good. Use our core strength to come on up. Let's take another centering breath. Inhale and exhale. Okay. If we're feeling ready to get into a warrior, let's do that. We're going to get into warrior one. So from our chair, We're going to turn sideways on the chair, and our right leg now is going to be supported by the chair. We're sitting, our sit bones on the chair, and our right foot is facing sideways. The left leg can come back, and we can plant the foot down, and the toes can be facing out. Or if it's a little too much, because we do want to try and keep the hips pointing towards that right leg, staying up on the toes is an option for Warrior One. It's a bit of a lunge, but it's a nice option if we can't get the foot right down. So I'm going to opt for the Warrior One feet, and I'm going to try and square off those hips as much as I can to the front. Now with warrior arms, like I was saying, any warrior arms are going to be great. We can reach up. If it's a little too much, you have the option to have cactus arms, hands on shoulders, or hands at heart center. So let's reach up, find our Warrior One, whatever arm variation. Really rooting down through the feet. Let's concentrate on getting equal sort of weight distribution in the feet. I know you in the chair that might sound strange, but you'll notice you might start to lean forward. So let's really press into that front foot. It's no different than if we're standing, and use the back leg to help keep us up as well. Remember, arms can be at any position here. Staying in our Warrior One for another 2 rounds of breath, really rooting down, checking in with our Warrior One postures. Are we reaching straight up and rooting down through the feet? All right, let's take a big inhale here. Let's exhale the hands. See if we can bring them behind. Option to hold on to an imaginary ball or clasp the knuckles, reach the knuckles back, staying up nice and tall, or maybe lifting the heart space up towards the sky, reaching the knuckles back. Nice open heart stretch here. We'll stay for another breath, and then depending on how you're feeling, depending on if you have a head cold like me, you can stay nice and lifted, or option on the next exhale, to fold forward to the inside of the front leg and find a humble warrior. So I am opting to not do that. It's giving me, my sinuses can't handle it, but it's an option for you if you want to find that humble warrior. And then a third option is to flow between them. So option is to inhale if you're lifted, exhale, fold forward. And then inhale to lift, exhale to fold forward. So any option, staying still and lifted, lowered, or flowing. We're going to go for 3 more breaths. Wherever you are, you might be in stillness, that's fine. After this, we've got 1 more breath. Let's all exhale wherever we are. And then inhale, release the arms, sweep them up. Let's just open them up to give them a little relief from being cramped behind us, and bring them down. Good. From here, we're going to stay on this side, but we're going to come into our Warrior Two. So in the chair, it's a slight adjustment. We want to keep this right leg still facing sideways. And we're going to turn the hips now to face the front of the chair. So instead of facing this way, we're now facing this way. But these toes face out. This foot's planted, and the toes facing forward. Our Warrior Two arms come nice and long. I just have to adjust myself on my chair there. It was digging into my thigh. Go ahead and adjust yourself in your chair or on your mat. Find the Warrior Two arms. They're coming out straight from the shoulders, and we're sending energy out through both fingertips, chest and hips stacked facing forward. Now, if the Warrior Two arms are too much, this is a nice option. Or of course, hands at heart center. Gaze is over the front fingers if the arms are extended, and we want to root down through the feet and the sit bones. Really feel nice and centered in our Warrior Two. Really sending energy out through the fingertips. Keep checking in, making sure we're not slumping, making sure we're not leaning too far back. Centered and strong in Warrior Two. An option to add a bit of breath work here as well. So we can inhale, bringing the arms, and then exhaling, bringing that back arm forward. And then we're going to inhale and pull the arm back as if we're kind of pulling on a bow and arrow. And then exhale it forward as if you're going to give yourself a little clap. And then inhale, open that bow and arrow, exhale. So there's a little bit of movement through the waist, but we're just sort of creating this movement to really imagine opening up through the front side body to create space for that big breath, and then pushing it out. Inhale. Exhale. You can stay in stillness if this doesn't feel good. Let's do one more. Big inhale here. Pull that bow back and let it go. Good. Let's take a big inhale one more time. Warrior two, and then exhale, reach back. So reach for the back leg, reach the top arm up, find a nice big opening. We're just gonna stay for a breath. And then come on, let's release that. Let's find ourselves centered on our chair. Feet can be as wide as we need to feel nice and comfortable. Let's just take a few cleansing breaths. Inhale here. Exhale. Remember, you can come through heart space if the arms need a little break, the shoulders need a little break. We've been holding them high and strong for a few postures now. One more inhale. Let's just rest in stillness here. Come back to our motto or our mantra. Eyes can stay opened or closed. And then when we're ready, we'll open the eyes and we're going to go to the other side. So now we're going to come to our warrior one facing this way. So now left leg is supported by the chair, left toes facing sideways. Right leg, oh, I need a little bit more room. Right leg reaching back, planting the foot, and the toes are angled on about a 45-degree angle. Or if you can't get the hips in that posture, especially with the chair, sometimes it's a little harder, come up on those toes, try to straighten the leg a little bit, but we don't want to dump in. We still want to rotate that pelvis under, finding our nice strong high lunge. Or if the foot is planted, a nice strong warrior one. Remember, any arm option works great here. Let's root down through the feet, really send those hips. We want the hips to try and track and face that front left foot. Reaching up, or remember, cactus arms, hands on shoulders, or arms at heart center, but still rooting down through the feet. Nice tall posture. Warrior ones are nice and strong. Stay for another full cycle of breath in your warrior one. And then inhale to reach the arms up if they're not there. Exhale, sweep them behind. And again, option to grab onto an imaginary ball or clasp the fingers. Now, if you're clasping the fingers, clasp the wrong one on top. It'll feel a little funky. It'll really get those brain cells firing. Make any adjustments to the warrior one. Reach the knuckles back. Inhale here for a nice big heart opening, really reaching the knuckles down, lifting the heart space up towards the ceiling or the sky. Inhale here and exhale. Option here is to exhale and fold forward over the front leg to the inside. Maybe you're coming into a humble warrior and staying there. Maybe you prefer to stay nice and lifted, or just like on the other side, maybe we prefer to flow. So inhaling to lift, exhale, reach down and forward. Inhale to lift, pull yourself up with the knuckles. Exhale, leaning forward. So remember, you can choose to stay. You don't need to move and breathe. It's your flow, your class, whatever your body needs. Let's do two more. Inhaling to lift if we're moving, exhaling, folding forward. Let's inhale to lift up. Let's sweep the arms up. Take a nice big inhale and then open up. Let's give those arms a break. Awesome. Let's readjust on our chair so we can turn the hips forward. So now we still have this left leg being supported by the chair. Toes are still facing out to the side, but now we're turning the hips to stack under the shoulders, and this right leg can stand, step out to the side, toes facing forward as well. So these toes are facing this way, these toes are facing forward this way. So our warrior two arms, again, lots of options. We can reach long, energize through the fingers, make sure that we're not leaning too far forward or too far back. Try and stack the hips under the shoulders. And then arm options, of course, anything that feels okay for shoulders. I'm going to choose these nice long arms, sending energy out through the fingers. Nice strong warrior two here. Root down through the feet. Make sure we're nice and tall. Checking in with our posture. Checking in with our Feeling of being really centered and rooted and grounded through the hips and shoulders. And then you can stay or find that bow and arrow breath work. So we're going to take a sweep of the arm here, and then we're going to inhale, find that bow and arrow. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhaling big and long here. Exhaling. Good. Draw that breath in. Exhale. Let's do 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And I'm going to do 1 more big inhale, and we're going to stay for a breath, readjust, stack the hips, stack the shoulders. Take a big inhale here, reach, 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 and then exhale, reach back, find a bit of a reverse warrior. Open up through the side body, and then come back through warrior 2 and release. Good. Let's turn around to the front of our chair. We're going to keep the feet nice and wide here. We're going to come into a nice forward fold. So if you're standing, you can come with straight legs, maybe turning the toes out towards the corners or turning them in, whatever feels best on your knees, and coming into a forward fold. In the chair here, I'm going to use my arms and my hands planted on my thighs for a bit of support here. We can all take a big inhale, and from the hips, we're going to start to hinge forward, coming down as much or as little as we like. Again, just with my small head cold, I'm not going to come too far forward, but if you have it and you're feeling ready, coming forward, hands can plant on the floor or a block, and you can let the head hang. It'll feel nice. You can shake out the shoulders, shake the head yes and no. That'll feel nice if you don't have a sinus infection. So let's stay in our forward fold. Breathing here for 3, 2, and 1. Good. Let's come on up nice and slow. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale the hands through heart center. Okay, so now we're going to try our warrior 3. Now it is a standing balance pose, but I do have a chair option. I know I said I was going to be in the chair, and I will show you the chair option. So for warrior 3, I'm just going to get out of the chair for a moment here. And you don't have to move your chair around. I'm just going to move mine to show you a way to try out warrior 3 by using the chair for balance. So you can face the chair or you can be sideways to the chair. Warrior 3, of course, is a balance pose where we're going to put the weight in one foot and then send the back leg out as we cantilever and come forward. So the chair here will be a nice option to help you balance. And you can play with whatever warrior 3 arms work. In the chair, a balance pose for warrior 3. So if we are sitting and lifting one foot off the mat, the ground, we can automatically feel that we still have to engage our core and find balance. Like if we didn't, we would just fall off our chair. So it's still a good, strong warrior 3. So it's just a little bit of a variation of warrior 3 if we're seated. So I'm going to do that seated version. If you're standing using the chair or the wall or nothing for balance, go ahead, root down. We're going to start by lifting the left foot off the mat. Now if you're standing, start to kick that left foot back out behind you. If you're seated, root down through the right foot, and we'll see if we can kick the left foot out. Now, lots of arm options as well. We might feel like we need to help our balance and our core strength by rooting into our thighs. Maybe we want to bring our hands to heart center. Maybe we want to reach them way up. Now, if you were in the standing version of this, it would look like this. Let's see if I can make that happen. You will be reaching all the way forward, arms reaching, leg kicking out, and this hip we want to turn it down. We don't want to open the hip up if you're in the standing version of warrior 3. So, wherever you are, let's see if we can lift that leg even off the chair. So don't let the thigh rest. See if we can lift it to add a bit of balance and core work. Staying for 3, 2, 1. Let it down. Good. Shake it out. Maybe take a breath. Maybe roll the shoulders. Whew. Okay. Let's try the other side. So sitting down nice and strong through the sit bones. If you're in the chair, rooting down through opposite foot. If you're standing, finding that core strength, we're going to lift the right foot off. Maybe hands are planted. Maybe hands are on shoulders or at prayer. Maybe they're reaching straight up. And maybe we can even lift the leg right off the chair. Now don't fall back. Try to really engage through the core. Stand up nice and straight. Inhaling here, we're gonna stay for 3, 2, and 1. Good, let it all go. Good, shake it out. Roll the shoulders in the opposite direction. Shake it out. Coat sleeves, empty coat sleeves if you're standing as well as a nice one. Just shake it all out. Okay, now we're just going to start to stretch it out and bring it down a bit. We did a nice strong warrior series. Even in the chair, it's quite active and high energy doing warrior postures, especially if you're sort of moving and breathing in those warrior postures. You might have even worked up a bit of a sweat. So let's start to stretch it out. So we are going to come into our figure 4 in the chair. We're going to lift and cross that right ankle over left knee. If you're standing, you can do this standing. You might want to make your way down to seated, or you might want to even make your way all the way down to your back and come into that figure 4 on your back. So for those of us in the chair, let's start to come back to our breath, come back to our motto. And with this figure 4 posture, you might already be feeling a stretch, especially if you're sort of seated. It's quite intense if you're seated or on your back. If you're in the chair, you might already be feeling it, or you may want to start to fold forward a little bit. You can hinge forward at the hips and start to find the nice stretch sensation in the outer hip here. Finding as much or as little sensation as you'd like. Keep a bit of action in the foot here. Keep it flexed. And let's sink into this stretch here. Even rounding down over the thigh is an option. Again, I'm just going to choose to stay a little bit upright. Finding what works for you. Let's stay for 3, 2. See if we can soften through the face and the shoulders. And 1. Good. If you're folded forward, let's come all the way back up. Let's keep this right leg crossed, but cross it even tighter. And we're just going to come into a bit of a seated twist. A couple of options. If you're on the floor, you can reach for the ankles and draw them in towards your chest. It's a nice sort of IT band stretch. Same here, you might already be feeling this. You may want to come into a bit of a twist, or you might want to see if we can cross left elbow over right knee, come into prayer hands, and then press into the prayer hands. And with the elbow pressing into the leg pressing into the elbow, it's going to help deepen that twist and maybe find a little bit more stretch down the side leg. So whatever version we've chosen, let's stay here for 3, for 2, 1 more breath, full cycle. Good, let's press up and untwist. Good, let's uncross the legs. We can windshield wiper the legs a little bit if we're on the ground, or just shake them out if we're in the chair, whatever works. And then we'll do those stretches on the other side. All right, let's lift and cross that left foot over right knee. Flex the toes, keep them nice and flexed. You might even put a little bit of gentle pressure on the knee here, on the ankle. Take a big inhale and staying up nice and tall, or finding as much or as little forward fold as you might need on this side. Again, I'm just going to stay up a little bit. Plus, I find this to be quite enough of a fold in the chair when I'm doing this stretch anyway. If your head is dangling, give it a little shake, yes and no. Really let it go. Soften through the shoulders and the face. And we're going to stay for 3, for 2, and for 1. Good, so let's make our way all the way up. And then again, if you're on the floor and in the chair, let's cross the legs and even tighter. If you're on the floor, maybe reaching for the ankles or the shins, drawing those knees in towards chest. And if you're in the chair, sitting up nice and tall, this might be enough. Finding a bit of a twist to add a bit of stretch and twist. Or if you're looking for a little bit more, hands coming to heart center, finding right elbow over left knee, press into those prayer hands. And make sure you're pressing elbow into knee, but knee into elbow as well. That's going to help increase the torque and maybe the stretch. Gently though, we're not trying to hurt ourselves. We're just trying to increase stretch sensation if we'd like. So wherever we are, settling in here, staying for 3 rounds of breath. And then after the 3rd round, let's come on up, untwist through center here. Good, let's just roll the shoulders, maybe even inhaling the arms up to shoulder height, crossing one over the other, stretching out the back a little bit. We did a lot of shoulder work, especially in those warriors. If you're holding those long arms up towards the sky and out towards the warrior 2 edges, then you want to stretch out the shoulders, staying here. And then release. Good. Maybe one more time, bringing the hands behind and opening up through the front. Option here is if you have a wall, whether you're in the chair or standing, it might be nice to press the hand into the wall and open up through the front of the shoulder. Or, of course, just reaching back, opening up through both shoulders at the same time. If you're stretching one, make sure you switch sides if you're against the wall. Let's release. Take a big inhale. Exhale the hands through heart center. Let's rest them back down on our thighs and get ready to move into Shavasana. Now, if there are any final postures you are feeling like you need to do, for some people on the mat, it might be a nice gentle back bend or another twist, or just legs up the wall. Settle in for a few moments, find that posture, take a few breaths, and then we'll get ready to come into our final Shavasana. Now, again, we don't want to just sink into the chair and be all sloppy. Shavasana is restful, but sort of mindful rest, you know, so you want to be aware of your body against the chair and the mat. Hands can come down by our sides or on our laps. If it's comfortable, closing the eyes. If not, resting the gaze on the floor in front of us. And then just start to scan the body. Scanning from toe to head, head to toe. Don't forget to scan down the arms, right and left, palms and fingers of right and left hand. And don't forget to scan down the back side body. I think sometimes we forget about that. We don't really have eyes in the back of our head, and we forget about that backside body. So notice if there's any tension in the backside body. See if we can soften into the chair or the mat. Let the chair and the mat hold us. Just notice if there are any areas you are still holding on to any tension. See if you can just breathe a little loving kindness that way and let it go. Shavasana is the time for our physical and energetic bodies to absorb all that good work we just did and turn it into something magical. It's a time for integration and rest. And know that rest is different from sleep, and that we need both every day. And we should never pass up an opportunity to just rest and do nothing. And the beauty of practicing through the lens is if you want or need to stay in Shavasana for a little bit longer, by all means, press pause now or let the video play out and stay exactly as you are. If you are ready to bring a bit of movement to the body and wake up and get on with your day, week, month, year ahead, go ahead and wiggle through fingers and toes, maybe circle wrists and ankles a little bit, waking up the body. And you can choose to stretch long in your chair or along the mat, or even curl into a little ball, or if you're in the chair, draw one knee up, then the other, curl down. Whatever feels best to wake up the body. Take a few moments here, and then we will all come to seated. We'll take a big breath together, sweep our arms up overhead. Exhale the hands through heart center. They can rest in prayer, they can rest down on the lap, or they can just rest over your heart center. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through the practice today and for allowing me into your personal private yoga spaces. It means so much to me to be able to do this with you here every week. Until we have a chance to flow again, take care. Thanks, everybody. I hope that that was an active, fun, energizing practice to get us through this week of winter. Take care. See you next week. Bye.